I'd like to once again dedicate my words of Torah this week before Shabbat to those who are still struggling with Hurricane Sandy, and just mention at the outset of our Dvar Torah this week that if you're interested in helping and volunteering, this Sunday there'll be buses leaving from in front of the Jewish Center on West 86th Street where MGE is based, and we'll be going to Long Beach to help families who are affected by Hurricane Sandy. Also, our program director, Miriam, if you want to call the office and speak with her, she will be leading a group to Staten Island to help individuals there. It's really incumbent upon us to reach out and to try to be as helpful as we can to those who've lost their homes and are really struggling to deal and cope with the situation. This Dvar Torah this morning, this evening rather, is dedicated to those struggling with the situation. The question that I wanted to raise is how we deal with getting older. In our society, older people are sometimes forgotten or looked askance. We are a very young, focused world and society. And part of the reason, perhaps, is because we haven't quite figured out how to get older and how to do it well. Rashi, the great biblical commentator, asks a question about the opening verse in this week's Parsha, Parshat Chayei Sarah. Vayu Chayei Sarah, it says that these were the years of Sarah, Me'ah Shana, 100 years, Ve'esrim Shana, and 20 years, Ve'sheva Shanim, and 7 years, Shnei Chayei Sarah, these are the years of Sarah. And Rashi asks, why does the Torah set it up in such a strange way? Just tell us that Sarah was 127 when she died. Why does it have to say she was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years? You know, you do the math. And then at the end, these are the years of Sarah. Of course these are the years of Sarah. That's what we're talking about. So famously, Rashi quotes the tradition that when Sarah was 100 years old, she was as sinless as when she was 20, and when Sarah was 20, she was as beautiful as when she was 7. What is this teaching? Rav Soloveitchik explains in a very, very profound manner that the 100, the 20, and the 7 represent the 3 different phases that every human being, please God, goes through in their life. 100 representing old age, 20 representing young adulthood, and 7 representing childhood. And whereas most of us, when we go from one phase of life to the next, replace the qualities of that phase with the next. When we're young and we have a certain innocence and naivete, and then we get older, and we become more passionate and idealistic about causes, we often lose that passion, that innocence and naivete, which is what you see when we get older and we get on college campuses. A lot of passion and idealism, but that innocence is lost. And then when we get older than our 20s and we start getting into the regular mundane routine of life, we become a little jaded and perhaps even bitter, and we lose that passion and that idealism for causes that we had when we were perhaps in our 20s. And we get older, but we have then at least the repeated life experiences and the wisdom that Judaism holds up so high as being characterizing someone who is older, which is why we respect people when they're older. But as the Rav said, we ought not to replace one quality associated with a certain phase of our lives with another. We should somehow combine them. And so rather than going from one place and losing the innocence and naivete of our childhood when we become passionate and idealistic about causes on campus perhaps, we should hold on to that innocence. And when we get into our 30s, 40s, and 50s, and we get older, we shouldn't lose that passion and that idealism that characterized us in our 20s. And then when we get older, like Sarah, when she was 100, she was like 20. And when she was 20, she was like 7. Sarah had it all at the same time. Imagine that. Imagine if we could somehow, as we get older, retain and hold on to all of the wonderful qualities that characterize the different stages of human existence. And that, says the Rav, explains the last 3 words in the verse. Shnei Chayei Sarah, these are the years of Sarah. Seems superfluous. Rashi tells us, Kulan Shavin Lo Tova. What those words mean is that all of her years were equally good. That when Sarah was 100, she had the wisdom of a 100-year-old, of someone who's got the repeated life experiences, who've been around for a long time, but also the passion and idealism of a 20-year-old and the innocence and naivete of a 7-year-old. Kulan Shavin Lo Tova. That is a great lesson for all of us. As we get older, are we holding on to the best of our abilities to the beautiful different parts of life. And so as we get older, we stay young because it's about holding on and not replacing. And B'ezrat Hashem, if we could take Sarah's lesson to heart, then we won't be as upset perhaps by getting older. We won't become bitter. We will think about all the different parts of life and try to incorporate each and every one of them in every single time that we live and that we are blessed to walk on this earth. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.